Yes, so close. I'm so sorry for interrupting. I think I'm having a panic attack right now because I just did this really weird toast. You didn't hear it, but I did hear it. It was really sad. One by one, we'll just be gone. Great, look. Oh my God. Can I tell you something? Yeah. My dead cat's in the back of my car right now.
Cats of 9 lives, I have 2. I live one for me, and one for you. If I can dissolve, I do. If I can dissolve, I do.
Now, I am not homophobic, but if you two are trying to canoodle, you gotta pick a different road to have an Indigo Girls reunion.
No, we are not trying to canoodle or have an Indigo Girls reunion. We're just, we are gay, but...
Obviously.
My name is Millie Rose Evans. I am a writer, director, actor, and I am the creator of the film 9 Lives, which is about Clara and June, 2 girls who meet on a very random night and have to bury a cat named Beans, who becomes an unlikely hero in their journey. So, yeah. I didn't really talk about myself very much, but I didn't really know what I should have said. I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia. I went to film school in Atlanta. I've been, a professional actor for about 5 years. And this is the first time that I decided to pick up the pen and try to write something. And it was a lot harder than I expected to actually make the film. I've worked on so many productions, and I really got my start doing a lot of stand-in and photo doubling work, and mostly known for doubling for 11 on Stranger Things. I did that for a few years. And so I had a lot of set knowledge and set experience, and I was very comfortable with different roles on sets. But being the ringleader, and I didn't have an AD, and I didn't realize how important an AD is until I made this film. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's never going to happen again. I'm definitely going to need an AD. It was definitely a huge learning experience. I think you have to be a little insane to want to make films. And I felt like I was going insane a couple times, but knowing that it came from an honest place and that it could make somebody feel seen. I mean, that was really my motivation the whole time. I was like, just keep pushing through.
Wow. Yeah, no, and I'm so glad you did. And I can't wait for, the audience to see as well. Because I really loved, I think you did an excellent job of contrasting light and dark. Mm-hmm. Right? That one scene where your character's getting, not to give too much away, but your character's getting fired, and here this guy's holding a crystal for dear life. I thought that was so great, so inspired.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Cinematically, the lighter moments are really the sadder moments in the film. And, when we enter into more of a dark cinematic world in the woods, where the only light is, our primary light source was literally just those lanterns. So there was so much warmth in those scenes though. And those are the most tender and the most, real and genuine and loving, and those are actually the brightest and lightest moments I think in the film. So I think that's a great point to bring up, the contrast in the light and dark.
Yeah, no, seriously, I would have never guessed that this is your first film. I really wouldn't have, because it is done so well. And now just to hear that you didn't even have as much support as you could have in doing, acting and directing, that's
right.
Wow already,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess do you attribute a lot from, the set experience you've gained on those sets as a stand-in? It was easy to just transfer, Like, okay, like that was your film school.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that I had the director hat was comfortable for me to put on because I felt like I had seen so much directing and I've been directed so many times that, and I've been directed in times where I'm like, I did not like the way that director spoke to me. Or I did not, that what they said didn't help me to get into that. And you know, I think some of the best directors really have been actors or have the experience or are able to understand and empathize with the perspective of an actor. And that's really how you connect and get through. So one thing that was really important for me on this film was, power dynamics are huge on set. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to be the person who is in the middle of a scene and is like, stop, I don't like the way you're acting right now. I was like, that's not the way that this is going to go. So it was really important for me to like set up rehearsals beforehand, before we got on set, so that we could just, navigate those scenes like organically, but also with the knowledge of like, we've practiced them and we've rehearsed them and we know kind of what we want and are able to execute a vision. And my producer, one of my producers, Aaron Strand, who he's a phenomenal director, he was present at those rehearsals and he was able to, hear my vision and execute it and let, me and Ren, who plays June, do our scenes and get in the bodies of these characters without me having the aura of the director. He kind of was the mediator, and I think that helped a lot for being on set, not having to have that stress of like, let me not focus on the acting so much, let me just be an actor right now. And I still was orchestrating everything and felt a little overwhelmed, but having that rehearsal time was crucial.
right, right. Yeah, no, I think that's great advice. A lot of people can learn from, like, yeah, having a good rehearsal process and having a producer there. Cause yeah, like, I don't know, do you feel like, especially these days, like almost everybody has to be a hyphenate, right? There's like, it feels like, right?
No,
You know?
definitely. I think that the more experience you have in different roles, I mean, I always encourage people, I'm like, go be an extra, or like go try to be a PA, like go do all these random little things and just observe. And I think that naturally you're only going to, I think the best sets and the best crews have that kind of like psychic, like telekinetic, like before they even go to like say something, the other person's like, yeah, I think I understand like what's going on. And that there's just like a natural flow. And that comes from really just get like set experience. And, I'm not saying like I'm anti film school. Like I'm grateful for like going to film school and like studying previous work and like all of these incredible things we can learn in our history of film, but really getting on set and learning to like have that kind of a multifaceted point of view, like that's the most useful thing in this industry I think you can have, because you never know where your next job's going to come. So maybe try to pick up a few skills while you're at it.
Right, right. As many kind of tools you can put in your box. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And you never know too what's going to bring you the most joy in something else, in another facet.
That's so true. So
Yeah.
true.
Now, I find your story so interesting too, because I was reading a little bit of what inspired it, and I think that, would you like to talk about that? I think that could, really be a sense of support for people. I always see art as such a healing tool, like, like not only for the audience, but the person. Yeah.
Definitely. I think that, this is a great example of like creating this got me through an extremely dark time. I actually had recently been fired. And there was, it was the beginning of the strike. Wasn't getting any auditions. I felt really anxious. I felt I had a lot of nervous energy and I didn't know what to do with it. And I just was like, let me just try to think of ideas and let me start just typing things out. And I was like, I'm not going to try to do it in a perfect script format at first. I'm just going to start trying to create some ideas and get some things out there. And yeah, I was really, really low. Like I was in a really, really tough mental and emotional spot. And as soon as I started writing the story, I felt a little bit better, but it was the moment that I realized it was actually good. And it was actually something that I could make and create. And I do have the skills to do this. I do know enough people that can help me make this a thing. And I'll, when Clara's in the bathroom and she's kind of having this, extremely anxious breakdown and kind of a panic attack, all of those things that she says are actually real to me. My dad did have breast cancer, which is like statistically like being struck by lightning. All of the things that she says in that kind of, run on sentence were real for me. So although I'm not Clara and Clara and I have a lot of differences, that was the cathartic, role that I was letting it, kind of let myself speak through.
Yeah, no, yeah, just like you feel it, like watching it, you do feel it. May I ask, is your dad okay now?
Yes, he's
God,
fully healed, out of remission. Like he's in great health. Yeah.
that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. You touched on a lot there too. So like, it's such a great project, but it seems too like you put it together fairly quickly. It seems like you reached out. Yeah, would you like to? Because you just said the beginning of the strike, right? So I mean, that's like recent memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It was pretty much like, yeah. So it was like December of last year. Well, not this past December, but the December before that. And I started writing, and it was one of those things where like I would write for a little bit and then like go like weeks and not touch it and just try to like live my life and do other things. And then I would get, a moment of inspiration, like go write a little bit more. And like, this is so cliche because like people say this all the time, but writing is rewriting, and like, I would just, my dad's a journalist, so we have different styles of writing. But one thing he's always taught me is when you have writer's block or you don't know what to say next or write next, like he always has said, lower your standards and proceed. And so I would just get into this mindset where I would get like really like a lot of pressure and like, oh, I need to like, this needs to be the best part. Like this scene needs to be written so well. And then I was like, just stuck and not like, able to go anywhere. So then it was just lower your standards and proceed. And half the time you do that, it's usually pretty much as good as it was going to be, to begin with. So it was a lot of the writing process. And then as soon as the writing was done, I started thinking about casting and who was gonna be June. And I taught improv for a while, and Rin was actually one of my improv students, and we had been friends for a really long time. And I was like, that's kind of like how she is in general. Like she is kind of June in the same way that like I'm Clara, where like there are differences, but like I knew she could bring it to life. And so that was kind of like an immediate, okay, I've got that. That's the main person. And the other people just kind of like came into my life like very spontaneously. I took a advanced Meisner class and humiliated myself because I was not prepared to do an advanced Meisner class. Don't even know how I got like approved to be in this advanced Meisner class. But Rick Andoska, who plays the grandfather, he was the teacher of the class, and I only went to one class because I was like, okay, I do not know what I'm doing in this. I should have been in this class. But me and him connected, and I reached out to him. I was like, do you want to like play the grandpa on this film? And he was like, yeah, why not? And so there's just kind of all spontaneously and organically fell together. And we only filmed for 2 days, so it was a lot of prep and kind of getting my crew together. I knew who I wanted to do sound. I knew who I wanted to film it. And yeah, it was like a skeleton crew. I mean, it was really small. And we shot 2 days. And there's a lot that I would do differently if I were to go back and do it. I mean, there was, a lot of things that I learned, but I'm really happy that my first film was something that I can put out to the world, because there's definitely, a lot of people's first films that they're just like, no one's going to see that. So I'm just glad it was good enough to like be seen, because there was a lot of work that was put into it and a lot of emotional labor.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. the song at the end, I think, is really great too.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
how did that come to?
cousin. So Odie Lee is her artist name, and I know her as my cousin Lauren. But she has recently just had a lot of growth and success as an artist, and I'm so like proud of her. And I, you know, she was touring, and she came and she stayed with me, and I was telling her about the film, and I was like, I know you have this song called Nine Lives, like, can I, use it in my film? And she was like, yeah, absolutely. Of course you can use my song. And I was like, it's perfect. Like, I don't think you understand. And like, I don't actually know, I don't know if she's actually seen it yet, but I think that like the timing of the lyrics, I mean, I kind of edited it to the song because it was so fitting. And yeah, it's definitely takes a turn like from the comedic to sentimental. And I wanted that balance in the film. I wanted it to not feel like just needs to be goofy throughout the whole thing. I wanted it to have heart, and I wanted it to, be sensitive.
Right. No, I think you touched again on a lot there. I actually like watching it. I thought like the song was actually made for the film, so it's surprising to learn that, it already existed, on itself. And that's another great thing you brought up there. Like I think like a lot like, some people might get turned off by a comedy because they think it like might be nonstop slapstick, and I know like it's harder movies, it's a harder genre to sell like overseas, like it doesn't translate. But I thought this really did have that heart, and you want to know what's going to happen next in these characters' lives. Do you think it might go into a feature, or are you already thinking of another one, or?
It depends on, I mean, like supply and demand. Like, if it's something that enough people express interest in, and I'm just going to be blatantly transparent. If there's funding for it, and people want to see that, and there's like, because this was an extremely grassroots effort. We had a very low budget that was still very hard for me to get because I don't know producers. I don't know people who can just like help me have access to investors and all this. Like, it was literally like asking my friends, my neighbors, my family, like every person I've ever contacted one time, like, can you donate? And like, that's how we made this. So it's like, to think of a feature, I'm like, creatively, absolutely, I would love to make a feature. But, practically, it's like, okay, so what, like, these are now that I've put on my big girl pants and made a little movie, I'm like, okay, I understand how complicated and how difficult it is to make a film, and to make a feature film. That's quite a feat. Like that is an endeavor. Like, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it well, and I want to do justice. But there's definitely room in my heart and in my brain for that story to continue and for it to be expanded on. And I think it leaves you kind of wanting more and wanting to know what's next for the characters. So 100%, like I would do that. Yes.
Fabulous, fabulous. And in talking for setting up the interview, currently you're in another production, one that you're just acting in, right now.
Yes, so I'm acting, or I did act. It's in post production. A film called Withdraw, where I play a heroin addict. I dropped out, a girl who drops out of law school. Her name's Viv, to pursue a career in music, and meets kind of star-crossed lover situation where her boyfriend, he's kind of a small town thief. He's an artist, and he's already kind of into that drug world, and seduces her into it. And they go through a period of withdrawal, really, to save their lives. But it's a really different genre than I've ever been a part of. I come from a very comedic background. And it's I will say the film, despite it being about addiction, and despite it being, this intense love story on codependency, both with drugs and with the other person, it has so many funny moments, and that are so raw. Like, when you're at your lowest place, like the only thing you have is like laughter sometimes, and so I think that's kind of what, breaks all the barriers of filmmaking, is whether it's comedy and you're laughing just because something's funny, or you're so sad that you can't help but laugh. Like, laughter is, there's no genre that is forced to be attached to. And Withdrawal is a production that I'm extremely, extremely proud to be a part of. And it'll hopefully have its film festival run in the next year. And I don't know like an exact timeline on when it'll be finished, but as soon as I know, I'm going to be posting a lot about it, because I'm extremely, extremely proud of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say let our film festival know too. It sounds great. I I'm just so impressed by you because you seem so multi-talented. Like I know we were saying like, yeah, go for every facet of filmmaking. You kind of need to our days, but you just seem to have a natural adaptation and natural ability for it. And some things I truly believe you can't learn, maybe. We
Yeah.
can practice as much as we want, but it's like an inclination, just something God given, and you seem to possess that. So I just think that's great.
Well, that means a lot to me. I really appreciate you saying that. And I think I would attribute a lot of that to sensitivity. And I think if people were really tapped into their emotions, I think that's where a lot of that kind of intuitive ability and maybe that is something that can't be taught. Maybe it's something that you can have a breakthrough and learn, or who's to say. But I definitely grew up in an environment where my emotions were heard and felt and seen and honored. And a lot of that has to do with having really incredible parents. And I think we come into the world as sensitive beings, and you kind of either put up a shell and you learn how to operate without expressing your emotions too much, or you're able to do that. And I think that's another reason why we need a lot more women in film, because we are extremely intuitive, very emotional, and those are our strengths. Like, that's why we should be creators. That's why, I mean, we're creators in so many incredible ways. But yeah, I think we have a leg up on the intuitive side of things. So
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I think that's a great note to kind of leave off on. I just want to thank you, Millie. Again, I think you're wonderfully talented. And the film is great in so many ways. So I thank you, and thank you for sharing your time today as well.
Thank you so much. And I just can't thank you enough for watching the movie and for appreciating the film and for speaking with me. And I really look forward to meeting you in person and being there.
You too, love. Thank you. Thank you. Many blessings.